Hello everyone. As we move into the programming portion of our Introduction to Computer Science course this trimester, we will be using a tool or programming language called JavaScript to learn some of the core concepts in programming. But to make it more interesting and just so we can get comfortable with kind of understanding what's happening, we'll be using a special language called P5.js. And this is a tool that works with the JavaScript language to get us to draw things on screen so we can see pictures and colors and lines and things like that to know that our code works. And this is a great way for beginners to experience programming without stressing about all the just numbers and details. We can get a lot of cool things happening on screen as we learn. And so this tool was originally designed to help people that were not necessarily focused on learning computer science, so like artists and designers and educators, but give them the tools to create with code, and that's kind of a big deal for people that have never experienced it. And I think that's a good thing for us, and we'll try that out. In this video, we're just going to very simply look at the website, see what kind of tools you have available to you, what kind of resources, and the editor we're going to be using. And then in our next video, we'll talk about kind of the basics of our first program and how we can start from there. So the website is p5js.org. So if you Google P5js or just go to that URL, you'll see this website. There's a lot of content and there's wonderful resources everywhere. First, I'll say the two most useful are learn and reference. And these are basically sections that explain all the things that we're going to discuss, all the things you ever could possibly want to do. There's some details about that available to us. So for example, if I select this learn link, there's all kinds of little tutorials and examples, and some of the stuff we'll do will be here. But if you want more advanced things or you want to get ahead, there's a huge amount of stuff that's available to read about, and it talks about everything we're going to be using. The reference is very similar, and examples as well, where if we're going to do some kind of command or something, we're going to learn something, essentially it gives examples. I'll just quickly go to one. So if we want to make circles or ellipses, you can see that it gives us some code, it gives us a description of how it works, what kind of information it needs to work, and you'll be able to read these eventually and understand how we can make code happen. So you can see that this one draws a white circle. But that's really useful information. So learn, reference, and examples can be much more complicated, but there's some pretty amazing stuff you can see. So for example, we can see code that drew these kind of nested circles, and there's not too much code, but if we want to read about it, we can just look at these examples, and there's wonderful stuff there. For our purposes, when we're going to write code for our activities, we'll be doing this on this online editor. So as long as you have an internet connection, you should be able to work on this without too many problems. And so right here at the first page, home page, you can see there's a Start Creating with the P5 editor, or there's also this editor button. And so there it is. You can see it gives you actually two things, a section for all the code we're going to write, and then a place that actually previews and draws this. And I'll go ahead and do this just so we can see what happens. It's kind of like a program where you press play, and it runs our code, assuming there are no problems, and it appears on the right side. And if there are problems, sometimes it'll give us extra information near the bottom, and we can use that to help create things. So I'm going to press play, and our first program, there it is, that was given to us. It makes the background of our drawing area a gray color. And we'll talk about how we can get colors and things like that soon, but that's basically what this one does. My suggestion is for the activities, because you're going to be able to show off what you've done, it's important that before you begin anything in your editor, you should log in to some account. And so my suggestion is if you go to the top right, go to the login thing, and choose login with Google, and then you can pick and mine already does it, but you can pick your Holton Arms email, and it'll just save it there, and all your stuff will be there. So for example, I can show you, you can create new programs, you can open up old ones, you can even see their examples if you want to, and do all kinds of things. So I'll show you real quick. Another program that we have here, let me see if it opens up. There it is, and there's a bunch of code, and if we press play, it runs and does whatever we want it to. And so this one is kind of a little fake program with fireworks. And the idea is that we could run our code and test it, and you can share this resource with other people. So if you make something that you're really proud of, you can show it off. So this editor will be our primary tool for coding through the rest of this trimester, and hopefully you'll have a good time seeing all this wonderful stuff, and we'll talk more about it in the next video. So I hope to see you then.